Welcome to This Week in Princeton Viking Sports here on VikeNation.org and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports. I'm Jason Griefer, and as always, we're joined by Princeton Athletic Director Joe Roberts. Joe, good morning. How are we to start this new week?
Jason, we're doing great. How are you? You sound like you're up and ready, and it's a beautiful Monday.
It is a beautiful Monday. We're fired up and ready to go. Let's get right into it and start bragging on some of your student athletes here. Let's start with cross country. They're getting the season revved up here. They're in action this coming weekend. What are we looking for here from your Viking runners?
Well, they had a little inner squad on Saturday, and I think what we're looking for this week as we head into Loveland, a little bit of timing, a little bit of pacing. There's probably going to be some nerves because they've not had a chance to see other schools yet. But I think we want to get out there, and Coach Campbell and Coach Cobb probably don't want to start setting school records this early. But I think they want to see where we are from a timing standpoint as we get ready to move in. Because as you well know, cross country is a building block sport. And to steal the term from swimming, they'll start that tapering probably in about 2 or 3 weeks. But I think right now setting the tone early and measuring themselves against a really tough field is going to be critical for us.
As an athletic director, would it upset you if you saw a school record or two fall?
No, 100% no. No, it would not. I think it would be absolutely outstanding. It's one of those things you just don't want to burst that bubble too early because It's about what goes at the end and keeping the groups together. I think that's kind of critical to keeping them in their packs and watching that pace that each one of them sets with one another. I think that's going to be really big for us.
There you go. And again, they're in action this coming weekend out at Loveland. Let's talk about your golf teams. And we talk about that. They've been kind of one of the few sports that's had sort of a normal season, if you will. And it seems like every time you look at the calendar, boy, there's another event. There's another event. There's another event. And your teams have been right there in every single match. And there's not really been a match one that's gone one way or the other that's been really lopsided. So when you have so many competitions like that in such a short time, is there much more that the coaching staff can ask for other than just that consistency each time out on the course?
No, and I think both Coach Bagley and Coach Herb have done a really outstanding job. Golf and tennis are one of those that, as soon as August 1st hits, they go.
Yeah.
Especially in golf, it's so difficult to find courses a lot of times, and you try to get as much in as you can prior to the start of school. So that the kids can, if they can get into some 18-hole events, they try to do that. But you try to get as many opportunities to get on a golf course as quickly as possible. And again, in tennis is kind of the same way in the fact that you just play as many as you can right in a row to try to get those matches in while the weather's still warm or while there was an opportunity to be out there. But, in golf, it's an everyday thing. It's an everyday sport for the kids. And I believe just keeping them working on that consistency pattern, working on making sure our numbers are getting better, particularly on the boys' side with about 11 kids playing right now, making sure they get matches that they need to see the type of competition that we're looking for to prepare them down the road. But you always want to try to drop a stroke, out there. If you've shot 80 yesterday, you want to shoot 79 today and just kind of work on those improvements. But the beauty of it is they also a lot of times are on different courses. So they get this, not only are they playing the team or the man that they are matched up with, but they're also trying to challenge themselves on the different courses. So our kids have done a really good job of navigating through that and looking forward to, it's hard to say it this way, but as we start to prepare for the postseason in golf, really looking forward to seeing what the kids how they're going to react and how they're going to produce.
It really is an interesting time here, given everything that's happened with the pandemic. Will we have a fall sports season? Will we not have a fall sports season? We're talking about postseason play, so that's that is definitely a good thing. You touched on golf being, we talk about golf being sort of an everyday thing, and you touched on tennis being the same way. And boy, here we go. They've got it this week. They start off 4-0, a couple of bumps in the road last week, but still a lot of time left in the season. They get going 3 days in a row this week, all of them within the league. Do they look at this week as a week to say, hey, we've got to make a statement in the league now, or is it maybe still a little too early to make that determination?
I think it's a combination of both. I think that particularly in that one single and one double slot, I think this is a time where they need to, and Coach Bruning does a really intrigued, very, very strong position of being able to position and match the kids up in roles that they need to be in based on who we're playing. Mm-hmm. But I think in one singles, one doubles, we really need to maybe make a statement, where in two singles and two doubles sometimes, that's more about let's build the consistency, because we're going to need to push at the end. And it's so great to have Middletown back and to get them back out on the playing field. That's just wonderful to be able to see this week too in tennis. But you're right. We're just right in a row, league, GMC match, GMC match, GMC match. And the tone's going to get set as we prepare for the GMC Tennis Championship and how that's going to look and how we will structure that. We're going to talk about that tomorrow at our GMC meeting. Mm-hmm. But I think this will be a big way for us to kind of position ourselves for the stretch. So I think that our kids are prepared for that. And mm-hmm. obviously some of the schools have really strong talent and some of them not as strong, but at the end of the day, you've got to get out there and you've got to be able to play your game.
How does a coaching staff strike a balance between, as you said, the number one single and number one doubles going forward to make a statement, whereas the number two and number three of each, they're just looking for that consistency? How do they go about striking that balance to really emphasize to the ones that it's time to go? With number twos, let's just keep building consistency.
I think you just flat tell them. I do. I think you just have to look the kids in the eye and you got to say, look, this is where we are right now. Not technically, I guess, probably we're almost right at the midway point. Maybe after this week would be at the midway point. But you got to look at the kids. You got to look at your team. You got to say, okay, here's what has to happen. And we've got to set the tone early. And then you got to take the rest of your group and you've got to push. And you use those two singles, three singles, two doubles, three doubles. You use those other players to move those ones through. And then that, by the time you reach the end, everybody's kind of all in line and everybody's on high gear.
Let's move on to the pitch. Let's talk about boys soccer getting going this past weekend. Falling in a tough one, 3-2 to Harrison, despite Cole Walker standing on his head in net, making 8 saves, which is incredible. Yeah. They're getting back. Yeah, it is. They're back in action, getting going here early in the week against Turpin. How much are they focusing right now on the defensive side of the ball so that Cole doesn't have to see 11 shots again?
Well, we're at Harrison this past Saturday was the season opener. So mm-hmm. I believe they're just trying to put it all together. And then tonight they'll head to Turpin mm-hmm. To get going. And I think from that point forward, they'll start to look at their rotations and really focus on the defensive end. I think the coaching staff probably looked at Saturday night and said, we saw a lot of great things out of what we're doing from an offensive side of the ball. Yeah. I think we can strike and we can attack, and we certainly have the speed to be able to do what we need to do on the offensive end, but we've got to keep the ball at that end of the field and away from our defenders. So I think after tonight, that'll really give them a position to be able to say, okay, here's what we have to do to support what's going on in the goal and get us ready for conference play.
Does it give your defenders kind of a shot in the arm knowing that, if something happens and the ball slips by, that they know they've got a guy in net that can make the stops when necessary?
Yeah, I think it does. Jason, I think I always say this, in the sport of soccer, it's all about spacing, but I believe that it takes every single man out on the field in order to produce that one solid unit. And when the ball does slip by, knowing that we have the confidence that we have in goal right now, that doesn't mean that our defenders can take a moment off, because they can't.
Yeah.
But they do have a lot of trust in one another, and the fact that, hey, we are in good shape and we do have the last line of defense there to protect us if it comes to that.
Over on the girls' side, this is about as tough of a way as you could start a season. Looking at things, 6 straight on the road. The first 2 games have not gone well, but you've played some really outstanding talent in Wyoming and Ursuline. Now you getting going, as you said, Middletown's back. You'll take them on this week. How do the coaches manage such a tough start while trying to keep those spirits up and keep them fighting?
Well, and I think that last statement you just said is keeping the fight going. And the girls have not. We talked about this a little bit last week. The girls have not relaxed. Our schedule is not an easy schedule. And that's what we like. That's what we want, because it prepares us for the postseason at the end. And they are building on that. And I think this Thursday, we open up a home match this Thursday, and that's going to really be good to be back home for them, to get a little bit of home court or home field advantage a little bit, just in the comfort of what we're trying to do. And I just think that the girls are just going to continue to battle and continue to go. Much like the boys, the defensive end is what we need to focus on, and really trying to fine-tune that and get the ball back down and let it be played at the other end of the field, and so that our defenders can set themselves and be prepared for when it comes back across. The coaches have done a very good job this year, being their first year in the program, of maintaining that mental toughness for the girls and maintaining that edge. And I think the girls are starting to see those results too. It may not come in the form of wins and losses right now, but they understand that their schedule was set up that they have to be able to come in and night out and compete.
And that's all you can do at that point when you, as you said, trying to put those building blocks in place to get it where it needs to be. And you got to start somewhere, and they're certainly at that point. So let's move on, talk about volleyball, kind of an up and down start to the 2020 season. Some good moments, some not so good moments. You'll have that at times, especially in this time. So in talking with Coach Sparks, what have those talks been like? Is there any kind of sense of urgency, or are we still staying patient early in the year?
No, we're pretty patient. I mean, we've had it, like you said, it's been a little up and down. It was a good win against Deer Park. It was a tough match against Indian Hill. Roger Bacon was Roger Bacon, but we've got senior night tomorrow night against New Richmond, and then we'll start to get into the meat of the order here with the conference season on its way. And I think that she's just really trying to keep the girls focused. All of our student athletes have just been so resilient this summer and leading into this with the different look. I mean, we just finished our first full week of school with our Scarlet group, and this is the first full week of school for the Gray group. So we've got a whole different group of kids in the building. The last week's kids are now doing remote learning. And so they're all trying to navigate those transitions as much as trying to figure out what they need to do on the court. So I feel real good about where we are. Again, our schedule in volleyball is up and down in terms of competitiveness, but we try not to let off the steam too much in providing the girls the best that we can give them as we get ready for that conference season.
So there you go. Senior night tomorrow night. We'll be keeping an eye on that, and we'll talk about that on next week's show. Finally, I would be remiss if we didn't mention you're a football team. Boy, what a win last Friday, rallying in the fourth quarter to beat Hamilton on the road, 33-28. Thomas Boyd, your star running back, 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. He went for over 100 yards in the comeback win. Talk to me a little bit about that game and how important he is going to be for the duration of the season.
Well, Thomas is definitely going to be a key factor in what we do as we move forward. We've got to keep our backfield. Jalen Turner did a wonderful job as well on the offensive side, but we've got to keep those student athletes healthy. We've got to keep our players, our mind focused as we move into week 2. What a great way to start the football season. There were many of us, me included, that were very hesitant that we may not make it to Friday in these uncertain times. You just never know what's going to happen. And what a relief to know that we did get to Friday. It was a great evening. The weather was outstanding. Hamilton were prepared, and it's a very well-sounded fundamental football team, which is what we needed. as we talked about last week, not having a scrimmage opponent this year, electing not to do that.
Yeah.
I think it was great for our team to be able to see some other kids and get out there and get football going. So we're really looking forward to our home opener. Again, senior night for our senior football players and cheerleaders this coming Friday as well. But we're looking forward to getting the Sycamore Aviators over here and under the Friday night lights.
Sycamore's a good football team as well. They had to rally to win as well. They beat Lakota East 34-31. They have a really good running back as well. And William Mingle, he had almost 300 all-purpose yards in their win against Lakota East. So you've got a challenge on the other side trying to stop their star running back. What's the coaching staff focused on in trying to get ready for this to try to go to 2-0?
Well, I know Coach Gillum and the defensive staff were in yesterday, so I'll see him today. He kind of got on me last Friday because when he came in the office toward the end of the day, I didn't know that he was in there. I was on the phone, but he said, you didn't ask me what defense we were running tonight. And that's normally what I normally do is try to do a little football coaching with him for about 2 minutes, and then I let it go and let him do his thing because he just does a great job with our kids and on the defensive side. But I'll probably go to the film room a little bit today and have that conversation with him about what we've got to adjust to prepare for that. But our kids know the beauty of the GMC and the beauty of actually Cincinnati and Southwest Ohio. The student athletes, they all know one another.
Yeah.
So they're already accustomed to the tendencies that each other are going to make. Now that's a good thing or a bad thing. Somebody can look at it either way, because if you know somebody too much, then you're not going to be able to fool them with anything. But it's going to be a great game Friday night. I think we have to make some adjustments a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to have to fine tune some of the stuff that we did on special teams from last Friday. And then again, we're going to have to do some things offensively. Our athleticism will support what we're trying to do, but sometimes, we got to get back into the fundamentals a little bit of it too. So it's going to be a good week. Coach Daniels will have the kids ready. I like what he's doing now and the fact that he's given our varsity kids, unless they need to come in and have treatment with the athletic trainers, they take Saturday off to rest and recover. And then they come in late Sunday afternoon and do film and lifting and really spend some time together studying. And I think that's going to help our kids. They get a little day there to kind of wind down and just kind of recover from the Friday night, give them a time to do what they need to do. Kids need to have that time as well. And we all remember Saturday morning cartoons and just kind of relaxing a little bit, and that's good for them. And then they can come in late Sunday afternoon, early evening, and kind of get ready and tune it up a little bit for the week.
And so since you are coming home this week, for fans out there who are interested about the game and maybe want to go, first of all, are you planning on having fans in attendance? And if so, what will the policies be like at Princeton?
Absolutely. We will have fans in attendance, but it will be adhering to what the stay orders are. We only have 372 seated capacity seats available. And by the time we take care of the 60 dressed football players, the 12 dressed cheerleaders, and then the marching band, the 106 or 108 marching band participants, there probably won't be any tickets remaining for just general admission. But thanks to our wonderful partners at ESP Media, we're going to have plenty of avenues for them to be able to listen or view the game. So we also anticipate the parking lot to be a little bit busy over here at Princeton High School across the street, and we understand that as well. But everyone has to remember that listens to this and knows they have to maintain that social distance, and they have to maintain those masks. I mean, that part won't change. We're really looking forward to preparing ourselves for a home event. And so far, what we've had in the stadium has gone extremely well. We had JV and freshman football this past Saturday, and granted, the numbers as far as attendance are a little bit different. However, the fact is, the fans on both sides did an excellent job of maintaining social distancing. They did an excellent job of wearing their mask and doing what they needed to do so our student athletes can play the game that they want to play. Our Buildings and Grounds Department, we actually purchased dots little dot stickers that we're labeling the stands on both sides, and we're just going to say sit on the dot. So if you see a dot, you're allowed to sit there. If you don't, then you can't sit there. And that's what we're going to do for our stadium to maintain that social distances and try to mitigate this pandemic that we're going through.
Everything in place the way it needs to be, Joe. An exciting week ahead for you and Princeton Vikings athletics. Appreciate the time. We'll reconvene next week and do it again.
Yeah, Jason, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you this week, okay?
Absolutely. That is Princeton Athletic Director Joe Roberts joining us for This Week in Princeton Viking Sports here on VikeNation.org and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.